There you go. Okay, I think I'll have to leave that open for a little bit. Maybe it won't. And also, so I need to pin myself because at the moment I'm seeing Hannah a lot and I just need to come back to me, I think. So there we are. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. You know, I'm going to this evening just make a short introduction to the course Gateway to Life, which is a course I've been working on for, well, I've done it twice before actually. And it's an 8-week course and it's evolved quite a lot. So I'm going to start it again, as some of you know, on this coming Sunday. So I wanted to introduce the concept of that course and also the courses which it has led on to, because it started something which then went into a further 2 or 3 courses. And I want to kind of give you that big picture as well, which I think you'll find interesting. In the end, it's become a year's journey for me, and I'm just about to start again. Also, very interestingly, this course is it's tied to the Mayan calendar, which is why I'm starting when I am. In fact, we're going to start the process itself on the Monday, which is the 26th of July. But the course proper will start on the 25th of July, which in the Mayan calendar is called the day out of time. So it is, I think, okay to kind of introduce everything on the 25th, the Sunday, and then the process itself will start on the 26th. So what's the process and what does it look like? The process is a story. And in fact, when I say that this course led on to other courses, the story that you'll meet is actually the story of the soul leaving the world of spirit and coming into this world. And then its journey, that's the first course, Gateway to Life. And then the second course is as the soul comes into this world and comes into this kind of fall of consciousness, as we begin to invest in the material world and in the consciousness around that. And then the journey of like remembering to coming back to reorient ourselves to spirit. And in a way, that end of that journey, which is when we reconnect with spirit, is I call that course Rainbow Warrior. So in a way, by the end of that course, you've remembered your wish to be a spirit, to reconnect with spirit. And then the third course, which is called Return of the Light, is what happens once you become like the holy, if I use the word chalice, which is a cup, or the Holy Grail in the words of Orasoma, this idea that we kind of open like this, and then energy or inspiration, spirit from above is coming into us. That's the idea of the return of the light. So that's the idea that now something bigger is beginning to work through you. So I'm just going to get a couple of pictures because as always, and if you do my course, you'll know I'm like this. I usually kind of arrive about 1 minute before everybody else, and I need to get some things together. So let me just get a couple of posters for you. And I think, yes, let me just do that. So this picture you'll be familiar with. I try not to use too much Orasoma because I don't work with Orasoma anymore, but for educational purposes, just to remind you of what you've already seen. This is the chakra. This is like an advanced chakra man with other energy centers in it, including the magenta above the head. And of course, the magenta is the soul star. That's in a way where our soul is before it incarnates into the physical body. And the higher self remains here even while the part of the soul incarnates into the incarnational star here. So this is our higher self, which is always above, and in a way it's the transmission of spirit. We have this word in English, inspiration. So inspiration it's breathing in, and in a way what you're breathing in is the inspiration of spirit. It's inspiring, and that's inspiration is coming from the higher self from above here and coming down in. So that idea of return of the light is in a way when the kind of that bigger picture begins to work through us. In fact, that's what comes together at the end of Rainbow Warrior. So let me say a couple more words now. Do you have any questions before I go on? Because I'm just kind of going straight into this. If you ever have a question, you can, just put your hand up and I'll stop and I'll let you ask your question. How are we doing so far? Can you understand? I mean,
Yes,
I
yes,
think Katie, you speak pretty good English, don't you? Hannah and Maria, I know you both do very well.
yes.
So far, so good, is it?
It is, yes.
Okay, great. Um, so let me say a few more words about the structure of Gateway to Life and the other courses because they follow the same theme. Um, the theme is that we work with archangel bottles. So in a way, I like to step back a bit further and say a bit about how I work. And um, I know that all three of you have met me, albeit Katie just through the internet recently. Um, you know that I've worked with Aurosoma for a long time. More recently, what I've talked about is that the thing that's the most inspiring for me has been the equilibrium sequence. That actually, for many years, I've been very involved in wanting to not just understand the equilibrium sequence, but to learn from it. So my thought has been that there is an intelligence that inspired Vicky Wall that to bring those color combination bottles into this world, and that spiritual intelligence obviously continues to inspire now Mike Booth, and colors continue to be born. And what became more and more interesting to me was the idea that maybe these bottles, these color combinations, are not simply something that are here to help us see ourselves. In a way, that's quite an egotistical idea, you could say. I look at Orosoma and I just think about what's in it for me. What are my favorite colors? In a way, you see what I want in that. What I'm doing is I'm using Orosoma as a mirror to recognize something in myself, which is important, and it helps us to get on the way. It helps us to open the door, to know ourselves. But I think that equilibrium sequence, the spiritual intelligence behind Orosoma, has something much bigger to communicate. And what it has that's bigger is a message, an understanding of life, a kind of walking in the journey of life and expressing itself through color. So the color sequence is itself a teacher. And I connect that with number. I connect that obviously with color primarily, with number and numerology. You can see it in the tree of life, which is the symbol behind here, which I'll be talking about a little bit as we go on this evening. Um, and also, really importantly, this communication happens, is kind of evolving with synchronicity. As bottles appear in the world, in synchronicity with events and that are happening in the world. Now, I think that really began after the year 2000. And I think before then, bottles were being born very quickly because you needed to create the alphabet before you could start writing the words. So in the beginning, there was a lot of bottles born in a short space of time, 5, 6 years. And then, as you know, the sequence of bottles, the creation of new bottles has slowed down a lot. Um, Anyway, that's my interest. And once you get to the year 2000, and that would be bottle 100, bottle 100 was born on March the 21st, 2000. So that's the millennium moment, but it's the spring equinox of the millennium moment. By that point, I think there was increasing synchronicity then with the events in the world. And what's interesting about that is that if you think about, I mean, the world has changed a lot, but if you think back to the year 2000 and that 31st of December 1999 and that turnover to 2000, January the 1st, 2000, midnight, on British TV at least, and I'm sure where you live as well, you could see Welcome 2000 in Sydney, in Tokyo, in Kuala Lumpur, in Amsterdam, in London, hour by hour by hour, they would show us where the new year had arrived to. It was like a world event, which everyone watched on TV, and you could see it happening around the world in real time. And what I think about that is that's the beginning of like a more global consciousness. I mean, you can think about it, it's like this globalization is becoming more one connected world, which since then, of course, has got faster and faster and more comprehensive. So we're moving into a more collective time. Aha, we have someone arriving, so I'll let her in. This is another lady from Denmark, I believe. Let's just let her in. Hopefully she'll arrive. There we go. Hello, Kirsten. I think she's putting her headphones on. I'll give her a second. So just to say to you, I'm talking about another very important part of the teaching of Orasoma, the intelligence behind Orasoma, and the way that it communicates through the language of color, through number, through its relationship with the tree of life, but also through its relationship with events in the world, synchronicities. So in this moment, I'll say, welcome, Kirsten. Can you hear me, Kirsten? Yes? Great. You've arrived in a good moment. Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us. There's a recording later, so you'll be able to see what you missed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. So that has been my interest. My interest has been the teaching of the sequence of equilibrium. Now, you know that in Orasoma, equilibrium, there are also sets. There's the new Eon Child set. There's the Master sequence. There's the Archangel sequence and so on. The Archangel sequence is something I started teaching about in the early 2000s. I was a bit reluctant because the Master sequence, I had a good idea about it, very integrating into the color rose, like the higher consciousness of each color. So working with the color rose and the masters was a very kind of fruitful and, a circular, complete picture. And the sequence of colors, made sense, but they also made sense in the color rose. When it came to the archangels, and when I first started teaching about the archangels, I found it very difficult to read the sequence. Pale blue, pale yellow is Archangel Michael. Magenta gold is Gabriel, the next one. Royal blue, royal blue. You have pale colors, you have hues. It was a difficult sequence for me to read. And I like to read the sequence because I like to find the story behind the sequence. I like to make stories, basically. But little by little, I began to, especially with the first archangels, Michael through to Zadkiel, I began to see like an interesting story beginning to unfold. In the beginning, fundamentally, I mean, you'll hear some of it. If you do the course, you'll hear some of this again anyway. But those first four archangels, I began to connect with the four directions, and that gave some kind of story. And Sandalphon and Zadkiel kind of brought that cross of directions into a sphere of a circle, like into a three-dimensional sphere. And then Metatron fitted in the middle. So I kind of got back to where I've been with the masters, like with this kind of, it wasn't just a sequence of colors, it was like a geometric shape. They inhabited a space and they had relationships to each other. And of course, within that picture, you also had Archangel Michael, pale blue, pale yellow, which in the tree of life would be here. And then you had finally Zadkiel, which is the last return journey bottle as the path of the world, the return journey of the world here. Well, that already made some kind of complete picture. When you look at the tree of life and the bottles in the tree of life, those archangels which appeared as part of the flow of equilibrium going into the tree of life in the return journey of the paths, they already made a picture. And what I saw in that was that the picture was also something from pale blue, pale yellow, the beginning, which is something about our alignment with God, yellow aligning with blue, God, thy will be done, coming through me. It's my relationship to the Father. And Zadkiel, which is the pale olive, pale pink, which is bottle 99, the return journey of the world. Well, that olive is in Orasoma referred to as feminine leadership. It's about living your life in the world. So you have something that starts with the Father, Archangel Michael, and at the other end of that, 99, if you think about the tree of life archangel relationship. The world is about living in the world, living in the feminine, living in the goddess, living Mother Earth. It's about, and then you have this interesting thing about blue as the blueprint and olive as what happens in life. You have this difference between, the ideal of what I should do and olive of what I find that I am doing, or how I have to negotiate the way. So, to cut a long story short, when I was invited to do something on the internet with the lockdowns last year, the thing that called me was the archangel sequence, because over the years, I'd begun to realize there's more and more of a story there. And I actually thought, and I'd noticed that when I taught the archangel course, I never had time to explore that story properly, especially with more and more bottles being born. Every year or two, there's another archangel bottle. So in the end, I had to talk about 20, 95, over a lot of, can't even count it, uncountable number of archangels I had to fit into a weekend. So I just didn't have the time to go deeper into that story. And so the inspiration came at the beginning of lockdown last year, March last year, that I wanted to do something about the archangels. And I didn't have a title for the course, and I taught it only to a Japanese group. And something was beginning to grow, and it was quite a bit limiting, because my Japanese friends are really wonderful, but everything needed to be translated. It made things quite slow, and I just couldn't do as much as I wanted to do. So I decided I'll do another one of those, Gateway to Life, and I was putting it off, and I started on the Mayan calendar July 26th, and I was then had the luxury of just myself speaking English, just doing whatever I wanted to do. And I found that this course really began to grow. I really had so many ideas and so much inspiration that I began to really go to another level of learning about what this archangel sequence has to teach. And I'll say that even so Archangel Michael to Zadkiel, 94 to 99, was really the thing that I could see was that's the story. Metatron is I don't know, I knew Metatron was, I just saw the completion of that story kind of just went back to Metatron. And I thought that would be the end of the course. And then as I was teaching the course and I was getting close to the end, I thought, oh no, now I see how Metatron relates. Metatron is the seventh archangel. It's like the seventh day of the week. It's when you bring everything back to God, you reconnect. So that was really important. So I wanted to do that. And then I realized that Jophiel needed to be included as well. So in the end, it became an 8-week, 56-day course. And whereas I thought that 99 was, if you look at the tree of life, 99 is the last step here. And 100, Metatron is back up here. Jophiel, I'll tell you where I think that goes later, but Jophiel, 99, 100, it's still kind of, Jophiel's interesting, because Jophiel is the archangel in a tree of life who opens the door of the Garden of Eden, or the gate, so Adam and Eve can go out into the world, because they had to go into the world according to the biblical, the Bible. And Jophiel is the one who sends them out. And it's only when I got to that last week of that course and we were doing Jophiel, I began to realize, oh, right, so this is actually, I realized a few things. And the fundamental thing I realized is that journey we'd been on was a journey of the soul as it begins its process of incarnating into this world. And I kind of knew that for Archangel Michael, well, especially from Raphael and Uriel, and then leading towards Sandalphon and Zadkiel. So I'm just reading off names. I hope you're familiar with archangel names here. And 99 is the world, and the world is like I think Kirsten's going to join later or listen later. So thanks for joining, Kirsten. And if you need to go, then that's fine. I'll send you a link afterwards. Okay. Nice to have seen you. Thank you for joining. Um, 101 Jophiel is the next step. It's the final step, and it's the step of the soul being born into this world. And that's why I called the course Gateway to Life. The final step of that journey, which I hadn't realized before, was the journey of the soul coming towards the womb. In the womb is something growing, and the soul joins with that womb. And it's actually the moment of stepping into this world. So that was really, I had no plans to teach anything else, but that is the kind of the central, that's the journey of Gateway to Life. As I explained to you earlier, it's gone on to Rainbow Warrior, and from Rainbow Warrior we go to Return of the Light as well. So it's actually become a much bigger thing, and it's incredible how it fits with the colors of the Archangel sequence. And this is what I mean about the spiritual intelligence behind Orosoma, that there's a story that's so understandable. It makes so much sense with color, with number. It doesn't not make sense with number. It makes so much sense with color, number. I also always put the archangels into the tree of life. So even the later archangels, it's just inevitable for me now that I'm going to think, where does this go in the tree? And it's always like the next step of the story. So whether it's correct or not, it really makes sense to me. And if you do the course, I think you'll see like how much it makes sense of the sequence. It fit, the colors fit the message of the places. It fits a coherent story. It fits the journey we're on. And what's so interesting as well, I mean, I'll just say this as well, because after Queen Mab 116, which is actually part of Return of the Light course, because it's 8 bottles, it goes from 111 to 118 echo. So that course is archangels in the beginning, but at a certain point, it goes beyond the archangels because the equilibrium sequence went on to further bottles. But even that makes sense because it's bringing that finally the return of the light is something that's going to be grounded in the earth. So what were the 2 bottles finally after Echo, after that completion of that course? It's Ceres and her daughter Persephone, the goddess of the earth, the goddess of the harvest, the goddess of all that grows. For me, that's down here. So it's been an amazing, even when I finished the course and the bottles that have continued after, they just still continue the same story. It's been really incredible to me. I'll stop for a second. Any questions on that? That's the trouble. I see when I talk, I just start talking. I really like to make courses something practical. One of the things that changed for me in my teaching, in the courses I offered, happened about 6 or 7 years ago. About that time, 8 years ago maybe. I started to create courses which are not really about knowledge or information. There were courses where the subject of the course was the student. The subject of the course was the student's process. And I was creating courses which had offered a structure, activities, which the students did, which helped them, which gave them the chance to find out something about whatever it was, mystery to mastery, the tantric course, return of, was it Make a Wish Come True? I mean, there's a series of courses, sacred time. And each of those, it was more about the student's own experience, about their own life. And I used the tools of Orosoma. In each of those courses, we use different tools and a different structure, there's different subjects always. Same subject, the student's process, but different elements of their life. And I used the Orosoma as tools more, Pamandas, quintessences, choosing bottles, meditating with the bottle, creating something out of that meditation, energy to support that process. So it became much more about the student's experience. And when I teach Gateway to Life, especially, it's a combination of those 2 things. It's the information but it's the experience. And of the two, I'd say the student's experience is the more important. I do the presentation of information at the start of each week. So 8 weeks for the course. Each week is one archangel, which is one step of that journey. Gateway to Life is the journey of from spirit or the soul's choice to incarnate through to birth, as I've said. And there are 8 steps in that journey from the Aura-Soma sequence point of view. And so each week we focus on one of those steps. And that's the first thing. At the start of that week, then I make a presentation to introduce the theme of the week. And I'll talk about the archangel bottle, the colors of the bottle, and so on and so on. But I'm really focusing on, like, you know, the what's going to relate to that core thread of the story. And then a couple of things happened. One is that I needed to say more halfway through the week. So I was doing I started to do a second information presentation, midweek meeting, it was called. And I used to do one of those as well. So it was like, it moved from like 1.5 to about 3 hours of information each week. But what was really interesting was that I began to get this inspiration for daily exercises. I had it a little bit in the previous course with the Japanese. There were like a couple of times in that course where I thought, there's something I've always wanted to do. And, you know, now I've got this time, I can do it. And I'll tell you the one that it started, just to give you an idea of this. With the week of Raphael. So Raphael is bottle 96. It's royal blue, royal blue. One of the ways I think about Raphael, because royal blue is about mystery, it's about not knowing. Okay. And one of the stories I used to like to tell students in courses about Raphael, or about this mystery, about this royal blue, I used an example I heard from, say, the world of science or the world of rockets. When a rocket goes into outer space, so when you send a rocket with, you know, people or whatever, but you go out of the Earth's atmosphere into the emptiness of the space beyond the Earth's atmosphere. Okay. When you're going out, and also when you're coming back in through the atmosphere, what happens is you lose the rocket, the capsule loses radio contact. You can't keep radio contact while you're making the transition. You have radio contact while you're in the atmosphere. You have radio contact when you're beyond the atmosphere. But in that process of going through the skin of the atmosphere, as it were, the radio contact disappears. So there's a moment of mystery, a moment of not knowing. There's a moment when there's a letting go of what you know. For a moment, you're just in a void. And I think the Raphael is in the journey of the archangels. That's a very important part of the Raphael week, because you start off with some kind of earthly consciousness. Depends how you look at these. This is one of the ways I look at it. You know, Michael is something in this, you know, where you make a choice, but Raphael then is you're moving towards a new kind of consciousness, gold over royal blue, soul vision. From the point of view of us living on earth now, we're more in our earthly consciousness, and we want to get back to that soul consciousness, that soul vision. And to let go, and to get to that soul vision, you have to let go of what you already know. And to let go of what you already know is to enter the mystery, is entering into the not knowing. So that royal blue Raphael is that moment of letting go of what you know to realize something that you don't yet know or need to remember. So that was like the theory part. And I had this idea then. So when students in that week on a certain day, I think it's probably day 4, when they walk through doorways, so if you go through a doorway from one room into another room, that's like going from the Earth atmosphere into outer space. So I said to the students, when you're going through the doorway today, close your eyes, like be in the mystery as you move from one space into the other space, as a way to just like kind of recreate the experience of the royal blue. So I was like thinking of like just ways to practice little elements of what the Aura-Soma, the equilibrium sequence was teaching about these stages. So it's like a little thing you could do, which would like kind of give you a taste, an experience of, in a way, what the message of that stage of the journey was. And when I did this course last summer, I found every day I was getting like an inspiration. Sometimes it came a bit late in the day, But every day I had like a daily exercise for students. So I was writing them and sending them out. So each day they had something to do. Some students found it a bit much, and I told them, you don't have to do all of these. It's like if you have the time and you want to do them, you can. If you don't, it's optional. Because some of them. But so basically, there's daily exercises which encourages the student experience. So this gateway to life, it's not just information about the archangels. It's like the opportunity for an experience. And these daily exercises that I send out, which now I've got because last time I had to create them, but now I've got them, then each day you'll get your daily exercise. That's kind of the stimulus for the experience of the journey of the gateway to life, the journey with these archangels. So what I do to support that here, information, daily exercises, and then two things I would say is, one is that I want to support the energy of the group because we're all living in different countries. So what I need to do in a way is, as far as possible, we can't be in the same room, but I have a table here. In fact, it's in the other room now. I've got two rooms. This is my teaching office part, and then through in this room, hope it doesn't get too noisy as I walk through. But here, for example, you see, here's the table with students' names on it. And each day I do a meditation there, and I have the bottle of the week, the archangel of the week there, and I do the archangeloi and the pomander of the day, which I'm meant to say a bit more about in a second. So each day I'm like doing something to kind of nourish the energy of the process. So to support students to go through it. So it's not just information, but it's a process. And of course, if you have archangel oi or pomanders or quintessences, that will be helpful for you at home as well. But I'm doing something here to support that because this process part, for me, it's like interesting and valuable. And that's why also then on the last day, there's two kind of things. On the last day then, I'll say the other thing first. So the other very interesting thing which really helped me to create these daily exercises is I had this idea I knew I wanted to start on the Mayan calendar. New Year just seemed like a good time to start. And then before the course actually started, I discovered that there are there are many Mayan calendars. They have many calendars. And one of the big ones is the moon calendar. And the moon calendar is 13 moons. So unlike our 12 months of the year, they have 13 moons. Each moon is 28 days, plus the one extra day, which is the day out of time. So I synchronized. The fact was, because I realized that I wanted to go all the way to Jophiel, it actually made it very fitting with the Mayan moon calendar, because I had 8 archangels, which is 8 weeks, which is 2 times 4 weeks, which is 2 months, 2 moons, 2 Mayan calendar moons. And then when you go into the Mayan calendar system, you find that each part of the moon, the first part, the second, the third, the fourth, they all have like their own meaning, which was one thing I could bring in, exploring that, like initiating, refining, catalyzing, and I thought the last one was letting go. I'll be revising that before we start. But also, and each moon has its own phase, magnetic, lunar, that they each doing something in a bigger process, a process of 13, which is just about to finish now, because we're just 2 or 3 days away from the end of the Mayan year. So the key point was that in each moon, 4 weeks, each week has 7 days, and they connect each of the 7 days with the chakra. So my daily exercises, it gave me an idea to try and make the daily exercise something to do with the chakra of the day as well. So I was doing the exercise related to the chakra of the day, related to the theme of the archangel. So it became really, conceptually, really a neat idea, and that's what we did over the time. The interesting thing about the chakra cycle is that it doesn't go bottom to top, red to violet. It doesn't go from top to bottom, violet to red. It does a spiral. It starts with violet. It goes to base chakra red. It goes to royal blue, which goes to orange, which goes to blue, and yellow, and it finishes in green. It finishes in the heart, which of course, the heart, of course, is the place of sharing. It's where you open. And so because of the way the Mayan calendar falls this year on a Monday, it means that the end of each week is on a Sunday. So what I want to do on the Sunday this time is I want to make the Sunday the meeting day, which is a heart day for each week of the process. And of course, heart is where we share. So my idea is that this course, there'll be the focus is on the opportunity for coming together at the end of the week, rather than me saying something, starting it with a meeting. We'll be finishing with a meeting. So it'll be more like sharing and our experiences and some, I don't know, we'll have to see it because I don't know exactly what it will be. But my idea is it gives us a different opportunity. It will be, we've arrived at the green on the last day of that chakra cycle for that energy. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to be through these 8 weeks as well. I'm going to pause there. Let me ask you, what do you think? Do you have any questions? What do you say? Are you overwhelmed?
I like it a lot.
It's nice, isn't it? It's exciting.
Yes, very much. I think so. And all the various elements and it's full of, everything coming together and all of things that over time I been busy with.
That's good to hear. I really like the way that, picking up what you're saying, Maria, I really like the way that there are so many, online teaching is like a new thing for me, certainly. And for like so many different things you can bring in. Because the other thing, of course, there's a Facebook group. Everyone has a Facebook group. We have a Facebook group and you can meet. But I also like to, in that previous course, I also try to let people meet each other through the weeks, in smaller groups. We do it in a random way. So I'm always open to trying new things. And I think that courses, in a way, each course has its own shape, and little by little, the shape of the course as a whole becomes more set. But in the beginning, it can be quite changeable, because it's like trying different things until you find the right shape of the whole thing. Yes. So I see this course as like part of the changeable experimentation still, but getting closer to the finished product. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know how it's going to go. I mean, I'll see what, but certainly the core, information presentation plus daily exercises. I better come back to me, haven't I? Nice to see you, Maria, but I'm going to come back to me. For me, at least. One of the things you'll find is that you can control how you see the screen, and I have to control how I see the screen. But because I'm recording, whatever I choose is going to be what people see. So I'm just coming back to me for myself, at least. So that's what I was doing there. Okay, thank you, Maria. And well, Katie, what do you think? I know you're on the course already. You've already this is like a taster for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I like the idea of the practical exercises, which will bring more awareness of the energies into our daily life.
Good. Lovely. Thank you very much. Let me come back to me for a sec. Thank you, Katie. And Hanno, how about for you? I didn't know you were going to join. I'm very happy to see you. Would you like to say anything?
I didn't know it was tonight. Maria told me. So
very late, sorry.
No, don't worry.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
And so it's a kind of a surprise, but it sounds really interesting. And with these exercises in between, I think this is a very good idea, because it goes probably much deeper, because you go with the energy over days.
Yeah.
Not only during the time we are together. It had time to expand, or I don't know what it will do, but it feels like a very, very good idea.
That's wonderful. I feel the same, and it gives a kind of breathing space, I think, for the process to be what it will be. Hannah, I'm very pleased. I've absolutely remembered now. Didn't you take the trips to Egypt? Didn't you take people to Egypt?
Yes,
Yes,
I do.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
remember now. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, very nice to see you too.
Mm.
Yeah, I did attend some courses with you.
You did, and I remember because that's how I met you, and then we spoke about your work, and that sounded very amazing, taking people into the desert. I remember.
Thank you.
Well, I'm taking people somewhere. Don't know where we're going, but we're going to the gateway to life. Okay, well, I don't know what else to say. I thank you for your listening to me. And if you do have any questions, ask me now. Ask me now. We start on the other. I think another thing that kind of comes up for people, and I suppose I want to say is that I think it can be as much or as little as people want the course. I mean, I don't really make anything compulsory, and there's no certificate at the end of it. So I would just simply say that do as much as is comfortable. Don't push yourself. Don't feel. I know some people. I remember last time people felt a bit like, oh my God, there's so much to do, and crop circles. Thank you for reminding me. Very good. I will do that. I'll do the crop circle in a second. But from the point of view of the course, I like people for it to be relaxed for people. So although I give a lot, and that is my nature, at the same time, as much as people want, and I'm kind of saying that also for people maybe who watch this after, watch this recording later. So the crop circle. So that Maria, was it you, Maria? Who?
Yeah.
I know, Katie.
Yeah,
Katie, very good. Thank you for reminding me. So let me. I just thought this was I thought it'd be an attention grabber, and look, it worked. I got 3 people, 4 if I count Kirsten. So I'm going to share the screen for a second, okay? So let me see if I can do that. Here we go, share screen. Here we go. Okay, so I've got 2 pictures here. Let me start with this one. This was the I posted 2 pictures. This was the first one, perhaps. I'm just trying to tidy it up a bit. I don't know. I was thinking that was going to show, that would be the only thing you can see. But you can see the crop circle in the middle, can you?
Yes.
So this is this is a recent picture. This is a crop circle from this year. And I like this one because it's more artistic, but you can't quite so easily see the shape of it, which means I'll probably then need to go to this one, which has got more of the shape of it, although it's a bit hidden behind your picture. So let me see if I can change that. All right, so I've lost your faces for a minute, but you can see now the shape of this. So how do I connect this to the gateway to life? Okay, this is the big question. When I look at this, what I see is obviously a center with some elements of circles. I must say this looks slightly different to the one I was building it from, but it's the same crop circle, so it's the same idea. You've got here, so you've got something in the middle, and you've got a circle that's becoming a bit fragmented. And one part of that circle is a bit closer to the outside, okay? And then also beyond that, what you have is a circle of 12 shapes, but it's like 6 they're like gateways, aren't they? And 6 gateways, every other gateway is opening to the outside. And then the ones in between open to the inside. If you've probably muted yourself, so I can't see if you're nodding and I can't hear if you're agreeing, but I presume that you get that, okay? So we've got a center, something is leaving the center, and it's coming towards one of the doorways that opens to the inside. And then there are going to be corresponding doorways to the outside, okay? I'm assuming that's a yes. Mm-hmm. So how does this connect then to, thank you for turning a microphone on and saying that. How does this then connect to the gateway to life? Well, let's think that, and this is where I was going to show you the tree of life again in a minute, which I could do now actually. But let's think that this inner world is the world of spirit, and that this is a soul that's leaving the world of spirit. And it's going to come to a doorway, which is magically going to come to another doorway, which is going to be the exit into the outer world. So we're starting from spirit in the middle. The soul is choosing to step into a doorway, which sooner or later will allow it to come into the outer world. Ta-da! That's the idea of. Now, I've seen other interpretations of this crop circle. Pretty interesting. I mean, they're measuring the angles, and so I'm not saying, as I said, it's a playful interpretation, but it does fit my idea of the gateway to life. Something starts in the middle, the soul leaves the circle of spirit, and little by little, it takes that journey to the outer world. First, through this doorway, and then sooner or later, it's going to be able to come and step out into the material world. Do you like it so far?
Yes, very much.
Okay. There's a bit more as well. And this is like kind of taking me then to the Rainbow Warrior course and the Return of the Light course as well, because they all fit the same theme. Imagine, if you can, and can you see my face as well, or do I need to stop share for a second? Are you just, can you only see the crop circle at the moment?
No, I can see you as well.
Okay, all right. Then if I bring myself closer here, then with any luck, you'll be able to see me pointing to the tree of life now.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
This is the top, this is Kether, this is the source, this is spirit. And the tree of life is basically the map which connects spirit through a series of steps to the soul. Here's the soul in the middle, and then down further, coming into the human world, but not yet. This is still consciousness. And finally, here, this is Malkuth. This is the material world. This is everything, not just Earth, not just your body. This is the whole physical universe. And consciousness is connecting to the universe. And in a way, we are the consciousness that connects. You know, here's the I of me, which finds itself in this body. But this body is part of the earth and part of the universe. And that's all there, okay? And I have to go a bit further away if you see the whole picture at once. But you go from spirit to the material world. Now, if you come back to this idea of this crop circle that you see, and I bring my arrow, if I put my arrow there, I think that's Kether. That's the Kether, that's the source. The source is at the center of everything, and it goes in every direction. The source is present everywhere. So it's at the center of everything. And this would be Kether. And, you know, and as the soul begins to move, it moves through actually I'm being more poetic now, so I'm making it up as I go along. So here's the soul like as the higher self. Maybe this is like the higher self and the lower self. You can just make this stuff up. Or this is the higher self in the world of spirit. So you'd have to think about it. Is this stepping from Darth into Tifereth, and Tifereth to Yesod, and after Yesod is Malkuth? Follow what I'm saying? Kether, leaving the circle, that would be Darth somehow. And then this could be the higher self, which is oriented towards spirit. And here's the lower self, which is Yesod, which is oriented towards the material world. So gateway to life is the journey of the soul from the soul. Well, I hesitate to say that because where the soul makes its choice to incarnate is probably not, it may be in the source. Originally it was in the source, but it could be, of course, from the previous incarnation. If you went the Buddhist way, then it would be in the bardo, not gone back to the source, but going to reincarnate for another cycle. So it wouldn't have got back to here. It would be somewhere here, but it's going to be preparing to take another journey, which means it needs to find another body that's growing in the womb of the mother. And well, I kind of show you this now, but remember that blue yellow circle, that blue yellow star here, well, that indicates that Mike Booth, the man who runs Orosoma now, says that's the doorway through which consciousness steps to have a human incarnation. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a yellow star on a blue background. It's the colors of Archangel Michael. That's the moment of choice to incarnate. So there's a choice to incarnate, and there's going to be, for that stepping in, there's going to be a stepping out. Ultimately, there'll be a stepping out from the womb into the material world. And that stepping out into the material world is the end of the gateway to life, because that's the jovial energy when we arrive in this world. But it starts somewhere in the inner world. So I thought that crop circle, that's just what I choose to see in it. And it definitely fits, you know, as I choose to see it there, it fits with it's quite an interesting match onto the theme of the gateway to life. Rainbow Warrior also fits that, because now you're out here and you're looking to remember that this exists. And when you've done that, Return of the Light is like energy from here, then it's coming back down to you. So you begin to live in the world out here, aligned with what's in here. Picture gone?
Mhm.
There you go, full screen, finally. I remember what I should have done all the time. And let me just change this. Okay, so now I can see you all again. So, as always, I've over-delivered. It's 54 minutes and 5 seconds. Thank you all very much for joining me. Is there anything else you'd like to ask before? If you want to join the course, absolutely, there are places still, of course. You're very welcome to join. Maria, Hannah, Katie, you're already in because your name's already on that table. We've got 10 people so far, so already it's a nice group, but you're very welcome to join, and you know, the more people, the merrier. So
Can I ask something
yes,
about
Maria,
that?
of course.
Just really the practical things.
Yes.
You start Sunday, for example, what time and what times are on Sunday? And
Okay, so practically,
yes.
When we do meetings, when I do online, when I do live, everything's online, okay? And
Mhm.
when I do online live meetings, so it's live, they're usually at 1 o'clock in UK time, which will be 2 o'clock if you're in Europe. And for Katie, it will be earlier in the day, won't it? It'll be later in the day. It'll be like 9 or 10 in the evening for you.
It'll be 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Thank you. And the reason I do that is because we also have people in America who have to, you know, they'll be doing it in their morning when we're doing it at lunchtime, and Asia's doing
Yes,
it in the
that's
evening.
fabulous.
So it's
very well.
1 o'clock. Everything's at 1 o'clock. There's also every week. There's also a Monday. So this first Sunday is kind of an extra thing because I introduced the whole concept, and you're going to hear some of what I've said to you today. You'll probably hear it again, said in a different way, if you join the course. But the beginning of the course process is Monday, and every Monday I'll do a meditation, which I'll do live, and you can join live at 1 o'clock. It'll be recorded. Everything's recorded, so you can always catch up with things later.
Okay.
And then every Sunday, I do the end of week green heart chakra day, kind of coming together of the process, and that's also at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
There's Zoom calls like this, so I send out a link. You had to register for this one, but the ones when you're on the course, you don't need to register anymore. I will send you the links at the beginning of the week, and then you have your links to join. Just come along, you know, a few minutes before we start, and normally my meetings are about an hour and a half long. To be honest, I don't have a fixed time because I talk, you know, because I don't work from notes, so it just tends to be about an hour and a half, I would say.
Yes, okay.
The daily exercises I send out. Okay, so then another thing is but the information, I'm going to talk to camera, and I'll send you a link for that, and it'll be recorded. It'll be on YouTube. There'll be private links, so you can only view it if you have the actual link itself. You can't find it without the link. And so for students, I'll be sending those out on the your Monday morning. So you'll have it when you wake up Monday, and then you can just watch it. You know, maybe I'll even send it out Sunday evening if it's easier for you to watch it for the week that begins on the Monday. I mean, we'll just find out what works best. But technically, you'll get the link for the information on the Monday, which is the beginning of the week. And you can watch it when you want. You can watch it more than once, and it will stay for the whole course and maybe longer as well.
Wonderful.
And each day I'll also send out for your morning, I'll send you out a daily exercise, which is a PDF document. So that's something you read. So you'll get emails every day, which is your exercise. You'll get links for recordings as and when I've done them and they're ready, and it's the right time in the course for you to receive it. And then the live meetings, they're always at 1 o'clock. Monday for meditation, Sunday for the for the end of week, and you get Zoom links for those. So that's the kind of basic,
Mhm.
all the details. Maybe
And
more questions? Yeah.
I have two other questions.
Good.
The costs, can I find that anywhere or?
You can. I'll tell you right now. £240.
Okay.
I can send you a PDF because I'll send you the flyer after this.
Oh, okay, that would be
So
nice.
it'll all be written there.
Any
And-
further information? And the other question is, if during this whole course, this process, you would be struggling, or I would be struggling with something that comes up, can I get in touch with you? Yes.
And yes.
Can I get in touch with you one-to-one?
Yes, you can. Yes.
You offer that
Yeah,
possibility?
I do.
Okay, wonderful.
I do that, absolutely. And also, yeah, I do. And also what was pretty helpful, and what I also did, was I did like bigger consultations. In the first course, I offered it as part of the price,
Mhm.
but that was a bit exhausting. So what I'll do this time is if people want a consultation, then I just do it at a half price of what I normally do. If you want to go deeper in an intensive way, but if you want to have a one-to-one, then we can do that anytime.
Okay,
So
wonderful.
that's
Thank
how we
you.
do that.
And you already have like 10 people now?
Yeah, I think so.
Wonderful.
I think
Yeah.
so. My maybes are on white paper, and my definites are on pink paper. So
Oh,
I
wow.
think I've got 10 pink papers out there now, I think. I'll go and
Great.
count. I had a day off today, so I wasn't doing so much looking, but yeah, it's about 10, I
Okay.
think.
No, lovely. For me, it was just, you talked about this in the beginning of the year, and I was, okay, I might have missed it or something, but it comes up now.
Yeah.
And
comes
again,
around, yeah.
just like last year, at the moment that I said to myself, I need to be busy with color. I need to see color again. And there you are. So
Okay, excellent.
perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah,
No, I remembered what we said, but once I'd started the process, I was a bit, I had question marks about bringing people in once, because Gateway to Life led to Rainbow Warrior led. So I wasn't, I was just like all new.
Oh, that's all right.
Here we are again at the beginning, so welcome.
It goes as it is planned. It goes as it is planned.
Yes, indeed.
I always say. So wonderful.
Welcome. I'll
Thank
send
you.
you the flyer after this meeting.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Hannah, anything else? Would you like me to send you a flyer as well, Hannah?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I
will
would
do that.
like that.
With pleasure. And Katie, anything else for tonight?
No, I was just curious
What time
about
is
the
it? What time is
crossover.
it for you now? It must be 5 in the morning or something.
It's 3:30 in the morning.
Oh my God, well, thank you. You get the medal for being the most committed. Thank you very much.
Oh,
All right. Well, I'm going to close this now. Thank you all very much. Hannah and Maria will get flyers from me, and Katie will be seeing you on
Thank you.
Sunday.
oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you
all very
much.
much. Have a lovely
you.
evening or a good
Bye.
sleep, whichever comes first.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.